The line between king and god, once clear, began to blur in Alexander's mind. The weight of empire, the constant pressure of leadership took its toll on him. Reluctantly, Alexander agreed to turn back. He had conquered an empire, but he had not conquered the world. The sun beat down on the dusty training grounds of Pella. A young prince, barely a teenager, sparred with seasoned warriors twice his age. This was Alexander, son of Philip II of Macedon. He tamed the unruly horse Bucephalus at a young age. Alexander devoured the teachings of Aristotle. He was even then a force of nature, poised to reshape the world. Under Aristotle's tutelage, Alexander's mind became a weapon as potent as any sword. He devoured texts on philosophy, politics, and warfare, absorbing knowledge like a sponge. But it was on the battlefield where his true education took place. Philip involved his son in military matters from a young age, recognizing the boy's natural talent for leadership and strategy. At the Battle of Cheronea, when Alexander was just 18, he proved his mettle, leading a cavalry charge that shattered the sacred band of Thebes. Victory, however, was never easy. The ancient world was a brutal place, and warfare was a messy, bloody affair. Alexander witnessed firsthand the horrors of combat, the death of friends and foes alike. He saw the toll that constant campaigning took on his men, the exhaustion, the injuries, the diseases that ravaged their ranks. But hardship only seemed to harden his resolve. He pushed himself and his men to their limits, demanding absolute loyalty and unwavering courage. He led from the front, sharing their dangers and their hardships, earning their respect and, more importantly, their fear. With Philip's assassination in 336 BC, Alexander inherited a kingdom and a mission. At the age of 20, he became king of Macedon, and his gaze immediately turned eastward towards the Persian Empire. Many doubted the young king. The Persian Empire was vast and wealthy, its armies seemingly endless. But Alexander had confidence born of ambition and a lifetime of preparation. He crossed the Hellespont, the narrow strait separating Europe from Asia, with a relatively small but highly trained army. His goal to conquer the Persian Empire and establish himself as the ruler of the known world. His first target was the city of Granicus, where a Persian force awaited him. The Battle of Granicus River was a resounding Macedonian victory. Alexander's cavalry, with the young king at its head, smashed through the Persian lines, routing their forces and sending a clear message. This was no ordinary invasion. This was the beginning of a conquest the likes of which the world had never seen. Alexander pressed his advantage, marching his army south along the coast of Asia Minor, liberating Greek city-states from Persian rule. At Issus in 333 BC, he met the Persian king Darius III in battle. The clash was fierce, but Alexander emerged victorious. Darius fled, leaving his family behind. At Gaugamela in 331 BC, he faced Darius in a final decisive battle. The Macedonian victory broke the back of the Persian Empire. Section 5, An Empire's Growing Pains. Victory, however, brought its own challenges. Governing a vast and diverse empire proved to be as daunting a task as conquering it. Alexander, once a king of a small kingdom on the fringes of the Greek world, was now the ruler of millions of people from diverse cultures and backgrounds. He adopted Persian customs and attire, a pragmatic move that alienated some of his own Macedonian generals, who saw it as a betrayal of their culture. He founded cities, established trade routes, and tried to integrate his new subjects into his empire. But the seeds of discontent were sown. Rebellions flared up on the fringes of his empire. His generals, once loyal companions, grew jealous of his power and suspicious of his methods. The line between king and god, once clear, began to blur in Alexander's mind. The weight of empire, the constant pressure of leadership took its toll on him. Section 6. To the ends of the known world. Driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge and conquest, Alexander ventured further eastward. He crossed the Hindu Kush mountains, battling his way through treacherous passes and facing fierce resistance from local tribes. He reached the Indus River, the easternmost limit of the Persian Empire, and then he kept going. He fought the Indian king Porus at the Battle of the Hydaspes River, a hard-won victory that left his army exhausted and homesick. They had followed their king to the ends of the known world, but they yearned for home. Reluctantly, Alexander agreed to turn back. He had conquered an empire, but he had not conquered the world. He had pushed his army to the breaking point, and the loyalty that had always been his shield was beginning to crack. He had achieved more than any man before him, but it seemed that it was still not enough. Section 7. The lion wounded, illness and discord. The return journey was a long and arduous one, fraught with hardship and danger. The deserts and mountains took their toll on Alexander's army. Supplies dwindled and morale plummeted. The king himself, once seemingly invulnerable, was struck by illness. He had been wounded in battle countless times, but this was different. This was a fever that racked his body and clouded his mind. The bonds of loyalty that had held his army together began to fray. Plots against his life were uncovered and old friends turned on each other. The empire Alexander had fought so hard to create seemed to be crumbling around him. His dreams of a united world, of a world ruled by reason and Greek learning, seemed to be slipping away. Section 8. A legacy forged in blood and conquest. In Babylon, in 323 BC, Alexander's fever finally consumed him. He was 32 years old. His empire, vast and sprawling, was immediately plunged into chaos. His generals, once united under his banner, now fought amongst themselves for control of the spoils. Alexander's body, prepared for transport back to Macedon, lay in state for months as his generals squabbled over his legacy. And what a legacy it was! In his short life, Alexander had conquered more territory than any man before him. He had toppled empires and redrawn the map of the world. He had spread Greek culture and learning across vast distances, planting the seeds for the Hellenistic age, a period of cultural exchange and intellectual ferment that would shape the course of Western civilization. Section 9. The Weight of a Crown. Alexander's story is one of extraordinary ambition, military genius, and unwavering determination. But it is also a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the greatest of men are not immune to the corrupting influences of power. Alexander's thirst for conquest, his belief in his own destiny, led him to achieve greatness, but it also led him down a dark path, one paved with blood and marked by the suffering of millions. The world he left behind was forever changed by his conquests, but it was not the world he had envisioned. His empire, forged in the heat of battle, crumbled in the absence of his iron will. And Alexander himself, the boy king who dreamed of conquering the world, died a lonely death, betrayed by his own ambition and the frailties of his human form. He remains, even today, an enigma, a figure of both awe and revulsion, a stark reminder that the cost of greatness is often paid in blood and sorrow.